G'day, that's Slot Car Guy here, and welcome back to another slot car review. And it is sideways turn with the brand new B.6 GT3 Special Edition Jagermeister. Now, we know what this looks like, but this is the B.6 GT3. So a massive thank you to Armchair Racer for sending this to me to review, and it is brand spanking new. So stick around, let's do the full unboxing, let's do a full teardown, test the motor, and run this thing around my track. Welcome back to another slot car review, and a massive thank you to Armchair Racer who have sent me this beautiful brand new Jagermeister livery sideways B.6 GT3. And I absolutely love Jager. I'm a Jager collector, so what a choice by them. But of course, sideways, who are they? Well, it's actually sideways by Racer. Racer is your Italian side of the company, where sideways is the French side of the company. Bit of a joint enterprise going on there. And of course, these are plastic injector molded in China. So this thing's a bit of a round the world trip. But of course, beautiful Jager livery. I won't get too much into the detail yet because we will take a closer look. But of course, you buy a slot car, you get this nice clear case. On the back, we have got the sticker, and it is called the B.6 GT3. And there is reasons why for that, and we'll get into that during the video. But let's zoom in because there's some details on this car I want to point out. I'm a gamer, and there's something on the front of this car that I absolutely love that I want to show you straight away. So let's zoom in, check out the livery, full tear down, and then we'll get this thing going around my track. So before we take a close look at this beautiful Jager livery, let's do a quick unboxing of what you get when you purchase the B.6 GT3 from Sideways. Well, one point I want to make before we look at these two baggies is this plastic cover. We do pay good money for these beautiful slot cars, and something like this just keeps the car that little bit safer. And of course, they're always been held in by some kind of pin or screw, and these little T-screws, or T-screws let's call it, can break very easily. This is only a half mold, so some companies do a full mold where it touches the base, but this is actually doing a very special job by protecting, and there's a bubble on top, a roof aerial and the side mirrors. But you know what, something a little bit extra that goes in this box to keep my car safe, I am very happy with that, because we are paying very good money for these little bits of art. Now, what else do we have in the box? This massive and really well finished rear spoiler with the M-Power writing, and if I flip it around, we've also got an M6 GT3 with the support arms for the boot of the car. Now, I'm not going to put this on the car for the test lap because it will come off because you need to glue it. But if that doesn't give away what this car should be, well, I don't know what will. And also in the second baggie, we have got some wheel decals ×4, and we've got, and I'll see if I can get a good shot of that. You might be able to see them underneath there. Some badging for the car, 3 of them. And of course, by now you'll know what this car is and should be, but for the purpose of the video, we'll be calling it the B.6 GT3. Now let's zoom on in, let's take a close look at the livery because there's a couple of things I want to point out, and then we'll get stuck into the full teardown. So let's take a close look at this stunning Jagermeister livery. And if you do like Jager, you like orange, and this orange looks pretty damn good. Now I don't know if this is the exact Jager orange, but I like it anyways. I think orange looks really good on any race car. Now, of course, let's start on the driver's side. You've got the Jagermeister down the side of the door with the beautiful logo. I like the brown and yellow. I think that looks really good with orange. Really, really cool. Let's just have a quick look at the rear section here. We've got a bit of aero that's actually been, looks like there's a bit of a drill hole in there, so there is a bit of an airflow going through. Will that make your racing different? I don't think so, but looks cool. Nice big side steps with the exhaust. I believe it's coming out the front. Is that exhaust? I'm guessing that's going to be the exhaust coming out the front there. Nice little touch. Some more pumped out guards. Now, unfortunately, behind here where the grille is, that's this black flat plastic, but that's okay. This is a race car. Revision mirror has got some stickered mirror on it. Really, really cool touch. Let's move around to the front nice and slowly. Now, I like this little bit of a, that's a bit of maybe printed decal on top of that actual arch here, which should be a bit of aero cutout, but that's okay. Nice little bit of print on there. It looks like good high quality as well. Around to the front. Now, of course, we know what this car is. Wink, wink. It's the B.6 GT3, but I think that looks absolutely incredible. Very, very nice. These lower fog lights are really cool with the plastic covers, and I don't think this has active lights, sorry, I don't believe it will have. And of course the headlights, nice big black splitter, really, really well done. But unfortunately all this front section is all closed off. It would have been nice to have some, gaping air holes. I think the winner of the, and some side flicks, a bit of side aero veins going down the side of it. But this bonnet is absolutely stunning. Check that out. Nice matte black finish, which really shines beautifully when you move the car. And inside there, it looks like it's just hollow. There's nothing much else going on inside there. But that is a very, very nice looking bonnet. Around to the passenger side, which is very much the same as the driver's side. And again, Jagermeister. The interior itself, let's see if I can get a good shot inside there. We've got a white interior with a black dash. Let's look at the dash first. So a nice black dash. But then the interior itself is unpainted, so it's white interior, and it's a flooded cockpit. And what I mean by that is it's a high-rise cockpit where the steering wheel's been cut off halfway, the figure's been cut off. Looks like he's sitting in a puddle of water. Does that matter? Probably not. It's a race car. And some roll cage work around the rear. And there it is. But let's go to the roof first, because there's that aerial I was talking about, which is being covered by the plastic cover, which is in the box itself, because that's a bit of hard plastic, so that's going to pop straight off. But the rear, I love the rear of this car. Now, nice little carbon fiber flick boot lid, and of course that's where you have the support arms, which will be situated for that beautiful rear spoiler. And then of course the back of this thing is absolutely incredible. Very, very nice, and a little bit of undercarriage aero going on, which looks good. But I do like the touches they've done with these rims and the choice of rims. I'll see if I can get a good shine on that. There's some brake discs behind these rims. So a really, really nice touch. Overall, I think that is a good looking slot car. The orange looks impressive. But let's do a full teardown and let's test the motor and give this thing a run around my track. So before we take a close look at the chassis, let's have a quick look inside the shell. And of course, there is no active lights, but I believe every slot car should have some lights. So if you can put them in, I highly recommend it. But I think we should be receiving lights in cars in today's standards. It adds that little bit of realism, and of course, that very long and shallow cockpit. But let's take a look at this chassis, because there's a couple of things I want to point out. And from factory, this front axle is adjustable. And the reason it is adjustable, you can adjust the height of which these tyres will hit the ground. Now, as it sits as we speak, that is very high off the ground. So I believe I'm going to bottom out when I'm trying to do a test lap. So I may have to drop these by using these two little grub screws, Allen key grub screws underneath, which will bring that down a fraction, because I think looking at this profile, it is very high off the ground. Now keep in mind, with front axles, with front tyres, unless it's a four-wheel drive car, we don't want these really engaging at all. Just enough that they keep the car balanced, but I think that's a little bit too high. But I'll have a look at that before the hot lap. Let's move our way down to the back. We've got a removable engine pod, which this one is situated and set up as an angle winder, and the motor is the Baby Raptor, 17,000 RPM, running at 12 volt. I love that name, Baby Raptor. So that's nicely sat in there. And of course, this also has two locations for some bar magnets, which if you want to buy them from Sideways, the product code is CN06 or CN07, which will be the magnets that will fit in here, because the rear one looks a little bit longer and a bit narrower. Let's flip that upside down. Of course, a fully removable engine mount and adjustable. You can make it loose or tighter depending on how you want to drive this car. But that's really about it. And in regards to the spur gear and pinion, I could not find the information of what they are running. Yes, I could count the teeth, but if you do know, please hit the comments. Tyres, it feels like they are rubber. And then the actual hubs or the rims themselves, they feel plastic, but I'm guessing, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I couldn't find information on that. So if you do know if they are aluminium or plastic, please let me know. They look aluminium, but they feel plastic. So there you go. A very, very, very basic chassis, but very easy to set up and play with. But I think I will raise that up, raise that down just a fraction. Alrighty, so let's test the motor's downforce. Let's weigh the car with its shell on, and then let's do a hot lap around my track. Alrighty, so I've zeroed out the scales. Let's weigh the B.6 GT3, and we're looking at 90 to 91 grams. It's fluctuating between 90 and 91. And now let's test the magnetic downforce of the motor on the SRC's UMS device. I have zeroed out the scales, and let's try and find the happy medium. And there we are, that's our maximum, and we are running 8.64 grams of magnetic downforce. Alrighty, so the fun part, let's chuck this on my track and let's see how this magless slot car goes around my test track.
13.35 seconds. Lap 3, 13.36 seconds.
So how did the B.6 GT3 by Sideways perform around my track? Well, I did a 13.26, which I think is an impressive lap time for a car that's running no magnets, but I did encounter an issue with the car, and I do like to do honest reviews. And of course, my tests are always the same. I take it straight from the base and onto the track. I may clean the tyres quickly, so if my track's in a shed, so it does get dirty, but I do no other setup adjustments to it. But unfortunately, the braid that's connected to this car and also the LBH GT3 had the same issue. The braid that's connected is, I don't think, the greatest quality. Unfortunately, it won't hold shape, which means it pulls away from my track, so then I have no power connection whatsoever. I like to shape my braid like an L, so I've got it looks like a foot that drags around my track, which I get normally complete connection, and I have no power issues at all. This braid would not hold shape either flat or when it was in the L-shaped design. And I also had to pull the braid back through a bit because it was a bit too long pushing the guide out of my slot. So it was a little bit of setup, but I do believe good quality braid can either make or break a great slot car. The chassis, the components are incredible on this actual car itself, but the braid, I did have issues. The way I got around this issue is I literally pinched the braid almost like a needle and then folded it over just on the tip, so I had a certain amount of connection around the track, which is why I got that lap time. So the braid, I don't think was great quality from factory, and I did have the same issue with the LBH GT3. Do I still recommend Sideways? Of course I do. This car is incredible and braid is easy to fix, but I do like to do an honest review for anyone watching at home, and that's the only thing I could fault on this car as well as the LBH was the braid connected. Easy fix, but I do like to do a factory test for the viewers. And hopefully Sideways is watching. Is this an issue you guys have? Do you have issue with the braid that's connected to your latest release cars? Because I do think it's very important. But of course, Sideways, magical cars, little hiccup, we got around it, and a very impressive 13.26 I achieved with this magless car. But as always, at that slot car guy on Instagram and YouTube, thank you Armchair Racer for sending me these two beautiful slot cars. I will continue to set them up and race them around my track. I am a big fan of Sideways, but as always, I like to do an honest review. So take care, be safe.